Alright everyone, this video is going to be a little different. This video, I'm going to explain the difference between religion and spirituality while being shocked. Um, they stopped giving out these shock machines that are supposed to stimulate muscle, and they do, in around the 80s because they were fairly dangerous. You could shock yourself too much or in the wrong place, and it would really mess you up. The shock machine I have on right now is about in 7 or 8 second intervals, so it's been shocking me. It's about on setting 6.5, and it's been basically because it's placed on my upper pectorals. It's been making my chest flex, and it's been giving a very strong tingling sensation based on the electricity going into my chest right now. So it's forcing me to flex those muscles. And I wanted to see if I could actually explain anything while this is happening. If you put these pads on your head, you could literally get that kind of electroshock therapy that was offered and still is sometimes offered in mental institutions, to where the electricity in your brain is rewired in a way. Your thoughts are rewired, and causes for forgetfulness. It causes um, temporary loss of feeling in certain body parts, especially the places where the electrodes are placed. But anyway, I wanted to see if I can explain something while this is shocking me every 8 seconds, and it shocks me for about 8 seconds. So here we go. Let's talk about the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is based on guidelines which confine one to a certain set of ideals instead of freeing one to understand God in their own perspective. Uh, Religion has to do with the collection of scriptures for any belief or belief based system uh, that are very confined and concrete, very placed in history. In the Bible, they didn't even let in most of the scripture that was written by Christians. They only let in the parts that supported Christianity and supported a division between Christianity and all their religions. In the Council of Constantinople, for instance, which they were deciding what should be placed in the King James Version of the Bible. And, Constantinople is the Roman Empire, but the part that survived, basically, after the fall of the Western Empire. And what they decided to place in it was separate from the life Jesus led in its completeness. Jesus actually traveled to India and was there for quite a while, unlocking his internal nature as an avatar, as as very conscious form of God, confined in a human body in India for about at least 10 years, but it was between the ages of about 13 and 30, basically. So Jesus was there for quite a while. But they decided not to put that in the Bible, that span of his lifetime, because it would not support Christianity. It would give people the idea that maybe Hinduism had something to do with who and what Jesus was. So they took that out of the Bible, and only one person is documented as having a problem with this at the Council of Constantinople, which wasn't nearly enough in order to get it put into the Bible as it should have been. But at any rate, I just use the Bible as an example of dogmatic religion because it's the form that I know best. Not because I was raised with it, because I wasn't raised with the Bible or any religion or any belief in a God or anything. But it's the one that I've encountered most in people around me because I live in Texas in the United States of America. But spirituality, to change the pace to the other extreme, spirituality is based on the upliftment of one's mind, body, and spirit. The soul is a part that is contested. What the soul is and what it can be uplifted by, separate from the mind, body, and spirit. But the mind, body, and spirit are very much what we interact with every day. The body being that which can understand general general motivations in the sense of electricity, or this hurts, that hurts, this feels good, that feels good, this gives me energy, this doesn't. But the thing about the body, even though it's very basic along those lines, if it's connected to the mind is conditioned to say, oh, well, that feels good, let's get it again. That feels bad, let's not do it. And the thing about pain and pleasure, pain, the things that causes pain, like lifting weights, for instance, to give an example, it feels like poison at the beginning. But later on, as we continue lifting weights, it feels like nectar. It feels like honey, like the honey taste in your mouth. It feels good. It makes one feel good. And when you take a drug, for instance, let's say Oxycontin, heroin-based opiate, at the beginning it feels like nectar. It feels like honey. It tastes good. It feels good. But as one continues to take it, as one continues to experience it, it becomes a feeling of poison, because one becomes reliant upon it, and one feels completely different in a normal, unhigh state than one would if they had never tried Oxycontin ever. If they had never tried it several times. You start to feel a lack of contentment that you wouldn't feel if you hadn't have gotten hooked on that drug. And I speak from experience. This leads into the fact that, just based on these two examples, which won't be linear for everyone, but they certainly hint at many other things that are the same thing, that what starts out as painful doesn't always have to be its effect in being painful. What starts out as pleasure doesn't have to be defined as pleasure in the long term. Same with pain. And that's what we have to realize, is that spirituality, it feels very undefined. It feels like, well, what do I believe? What is right above all else? What is the correct way to believe? And in spirituality, no matter what combination of religious beliefs or vague spiritual ideas or spiritual beliefs you have, there's a lack of definition in spirituality. And now this scares a lot of people at the beginning. At the beginning, the idea, for instance, let's name a spiritual idea, that in everybody's religion, their idea of the afterlife is not wrong. There's not one idea of the afterlife, but they all exist to a certain extent. Everyone who dies goes to their version of the afterlife if they've lived up to their beliefs and conscience. If their conscience is free from doubt or pain, or majority of doubt or majority of pain from what they view as good, then they can go to their afterlife. The idea that there isn't a definite afterlife, one afterlife that you go to only if you believe this set of beliefs, that frightens people at the beginning. It's like, what? But I thought there was only one way to go. I thought there was only one path to follow. And that frightens people because in so many ways in life, we're shown that this is the way to go and there's no other way. This is how you follow the law. You never question it. This is how you eat. Never question it. This is how you relate to people. Never question it. Whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be like one way is right or one way is wrong, like I'm alluding to, but it's just that we are shown one way in so many areas of life. And to think that there are multiple options and that no option is necessarily completely wrong, that frightens people, because it's like you have all these options now and you have a desire to feel like something is best, but there really is no best. That spiritual idea that there are multiple options, that there are multiple afterlives, and that they're all connected and hint at the same thing, that terrifies people, because everyone wants to know what is right and what is wrong. Like on a test, this answer is right, B, C, and D are wrong. But life isn't like that. Reality isn't like that. The afterlife isn't like that. God isn't like that. At least as far as I believe. And what I've found in studying many different belief systems and the different sciences that are separate from religion and spirituality altogether. But it doesn't have to be scary. As you start to understand past the want for dogmatic belief, you start to accept that you have so much to learn and so many options separate from the fearful desire that one path must be true. So much to understand, so much to learn. There is no need to confine yourself based on fear of hell, so you follow one path, as people in all the major religions do. Most people on this earth think that if you don't follow a certain path, this one particular path, you are going to be in suffering when you die for eternity. Most people believe that. And if you become a spiritual person, you start to see that reality isn't like that. And the afterlife very well may be not like that. That God may be merciful. He may be a father that teaches you what is wrong. Maybe he punishes you in the afterlife for a little while. But for an eternity, if God is a father, if God is a parent at all, a mother, father, it doesn't matter. If God wants to teach us, the way to teach us isn't by punishing us for an eternity. There would be no point. A finite crime cannot be punished through an infinite punishment. Cannot be punished through an infinite amount of suffering. A finite crime punished that much by a being who is supposed to be merciful. That is impossible to me. And it's impossible to spiritual people, in my opinion. But that's basically all I got to say on the topic. It actually wasn't as hard to do this video as I thought it would be. I'm getting shocked pretty good, and it's very distracting, and it's shock in my chest, and I feel my muscles flex, and maybe you saw it a little bit, maybe you didn't. I've been trying to hide it a little bit, but I thought this would be much harder. Turns out I can isolate my brain from my my chest, at least, being shocked. But I wouldn't recommend this if you, especially since they don't even give out these machines anymore. These machines are considered dangerous, so I definitely wouldn't recommend it. It's kind of like torture in a way, a mild torture. If it was torturing me seriously, I would not have these pads on right now. But I just want to say thanks for listening, and even in the pain that I'm in, I can understand things. It's very simple, but the pain that you're in, whatever pain you're in, you can understand things. You can learn. You can feel. You can develop your own opinion separate from what people want you to believe. And that's what you should do, brothers and sisters.